Welcome back. We're into the second hour of the Morning Brew, and time now to talk history through photography. I'm being joined by photographer Richard Ramirez, and just before we came on air, he was saying, he blocks out all of the noise, and that's where, he gets the beauty in his images. Richard Ramirez, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I get the sense that photography can be very meditative in its process because, as you said, you take pictures of things we pass by all the time and they don't look as lovely as your images.
Well, it's very interesting. Photography allows me to slow down my life. When I get into photography mode, sometimes I have to have friends around me to say, Richard, there is a car coming, because you get lost in the moment when you start absorbing the beauty that is in front of you, and that's not just buildings, it's even people. Sometimes I'm photographing people and I feel as if I look into the eyes and into the soul of people, and it goes for everything. So when you start looking at a subject, if you allow yourself the space, you become one with that subject for a while.
Yeah, we have some of your images up. You can go to his Facebook page, Richard Ramirez Imaging, and oh my gosh, that's Milflo, or is that rumor?
It was rumor, yes.
That was rumor. Okay.
Yes.
I was really struck by the photo that you took of Trinity Cathedral. I'm guessing that you were elevated on one of the neighboring buildings because, of course, it's something that we passed, but that angle is not a typical angle. But it was really, really well done, the way it was cropped and focused.
Well, what you find is that I do a lot of slightly elevated shots because for my personal taste is, rather than looking up at a building, you try to look across at a building. You don't want to get too high either because some roofs are very nice, but most times you don't want to be looking at a roof. But we have, again, all these beautiful places all around us. But if you take your time and you walk through Port of Spain, you walk through San Fernando. I mean, I think maybe a year ago, the mayor of San Fernando took me for a drive through San Fernando to show me a number of places that could be shot for my second volume that I've been working on. And it takes you back because ordinarily you drive past these things and not give them a second thought, but it's really in front of your face.
So now, when you share your images, you also share text. So it's not just, these beautiful angles and buildings, but you also give context through words. What is your research process like?
Well, it has been difficult for me. I embarked on a project to create a book. And I have done that now, Historical Buildings and Landmarks of Trinidad and Tobago. Volume 1 is just printed and it's on the way back to Trinidad now. The thing is, I have found it very difficult to find information on some of our historical sites. Mm-hmm. So I would do some research on the web, visit locations, speak to people in the area. It's very, very difficult. That's actually much more time consuming than the photography element of it. So what I'm trying to do here is create another point that people can go to as reference for information. So the text that you find me sharing on Facebook, I example, is in fact elements of the text that exist in the book. I've spent quite a bit of time doing it, but I myself have learned a lot that I had not known before.
Now, listen, your images are so gorgeous that really it could have just been that and, the name of the building. But I really appreciate your willingness to go and bring some of the additional information behind it. But you're doing good work regardless, because we don't necessarily have a great relationship with our built history and tend to tear down some of these buildings. So even the photography is a national service. Why buildings and not people?
Well, I think people tend to get a fair amount of coverage our buildings seem to get lost. I'll give you a good example. Day before yesterday, I finished final shooting for my second book in Tobago, and I love to go to Tobago to get some of these things. And I visited the Spring Garden Methodist Church. That church is about 200 years old. It was one of the few buildings on the island that survived Hurricane Flora in 1963. So it's an amazing building, and we should be putting some focus on saving it. When I got there, it was so sad. The whole building was covered in scaffolding. The scaffolding was literally holding the building up. We don't seem to recognize that, we need to focus on saving some of our physical heritage. We would go to foreign countries and you'd see us posing for selfies in front of all sorts of buildings. We have those things here, but we're allowing them to decay. People, as I said, tend to get some attention. Unfortunately, many of them don't get attention until they've passed. But people get more attention. Buildings, we walk past them and we are oblivious to their existence many times.
Richard Ramirez, what is the name of your upcoming book and how do we get access to it? Because I think, everyone needs to go and get a copy.
It's actually got a little sample here.
Oh, lovely.
And I think it looks a lot better than my face does. It's Historical Buildings and Landmarks of Trinidad and Tobago. It's available on my website, www.richardramirezimaging.com. It is available for pre-sale now. We expect the arrival of the book in September. It's being shipped to Trinidad right now. The second volume, as I said, I just completed it day before yesterday, and the lovely folks at Paragon Production, Charmaine, Joanna, working on finishing up the graphic work on it now to have it with the printers at the beginning of September, back in Trinidad in November. So Historical Buildings and Landmarks of Trinidad and Tobago, Volume 1 and Volume 2 should both be available towards the end of the year, but Volume 1 will be available from September. I've been speaking with a few other locations, booksellers and so on, that are asking me to provide it. But right now, it's only available online. We'll see what the future brings for us, but it's www.richardramirezimaging.com.
Am I right in thinking that some of these images are drone shots, but some of them are with a normal DSLR from the ground?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I use a combination of drones and DSLRs. Nice image on the screen there. That's actually the Pescia Cemetery in the middle of the Queen's Park Savannah.
Yes.
Most people don't know of its existence. Those that do would tell you it was a cemetery where the horses were buried if they fell down and died during horse racing. That was the story we were given growing up, and it has sort of stuck with us. That particular image, because of the story behind it, attracted just about 250,000 views locally.
My producer is now saying that, yes, she did not know that they had the cemetery in the savannah. So you see, really, really brilliant work you're doing here with your photo archive of Trinidad and Tobago's built heritage. Richard Ramirez, thank you so much for coming on the program. I invite all of you to go to his Facebook page, which is Richard Ramirez Imaging, and his website has the same address. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Same to you. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have Mikhail Gibbons, who is the founder and director of Lightbox Trinidad and Tobago.